Morning guys, can you hear me? Alright, perfect. Just to let you know, I'm on a Mac, so I don't have the chat room open. I say chat room, but on the YouTube channel chat, so I can't actually see that. So if anybody's typing in there, I apologise, I won't be able to see it. So let's turn that off and that done. Okay. So let's get cracking, guys. Welcome to another live session. And we'll start off. We're just going to run through some pairs, predominantly the euro and cable for this London session. I'm going to mark off some levels and things to watch out for. At least what I believe is going to be coming to fruition this London session, going into New York. Just look at the weekly of the dollar index. Do you know, the dollar has been very funny over the last sort of month or month and a half, because every time it rallies, we keep I won't say making an assumption, but we keep believing that this is the one that's going to pop a little bit higher, and it doesn't. It just keeps going lower and lower and lower, and it's getting a lot of traders into trouble because they are, for example, zoom in a little bit more and just show you this leg down here, and then this lower high that was created here. We had this nice push up, a couple of days sideways, and on this day here, myself included, I'm expecting just a little pop just to clear out this little area here, and it won't do it. It's just every time it goes up there, it just keeps grinding lower, and grinding lower. And we have to go with what the chart's telling us. We've got to go with what's in front of us. So in the end, trying to pick a bottom on the dollar, it's just not worth it. Go with the direction, go with the momentum flow, and try and keep yourselves out of trouble in that respect. But right now, the dollar's at an area where I'll just mark something off for you, so I'll show you. Roughly around about here. It's in an area where it could do one of two things, obviously. Either reverse and go higher, or continue going lower, because it's in the middle of the entire range. Yeah, I'll say from, just mark it off really quickly, from about there. Right, so this last impulse leg up, we're in the middle of the range basically, and we can go either way. Now, we can use the other currencies, as kind of clues to see where the dollar is going, because a lot of people look at the dollar and say, well, dollar is king, and if you kind of get the general idea of where the dollar's going, then you'll know where everything else is going. But sometimes for me, I like to do it the other way around. The dollar's not always clean cut. Sometimes it's doing whatever it wants, going sideways. Sometimes you've got pairs that are dollar front currencies like the USD CAD and the USD Japanese yen that don't follow the dollar. They just do whatever they want. They go sideways, or they go up, or they go down. Inverse to the actual dollar, which is not supposed to happen. So, with that said, sometimes I like to kind of get a general feel for, like, if you look at the euro right now, the euro is pretty much the same, but the inverse. We've got this range, and as I've just marked out on the dollar, pretty much the same thing. We're kind of in the middle of the range, so it could do one of two things. It could continue going higher, or it could continue going lower. But if you look at what's going on in terms of the euro and some things that have been going on in the eurozone, the way that euro has been trading recently, you know, it's very unlikely that euro strength is going to subside anytime soon. You know, I do think that, you know, the euro's been besides the fact that the euro's been grinding higher. If you look at the weekly here on the euro, you can see it's just everything that's going on in the eurozone, everything that's going on, you know, with Draghi and some of the things that he's been saying. Personally, I don't follow fundamentals at all, but everything that he's been saying and some of the things that he's been doing, you know, are leading me to believe that the euro currency is going to continue getting stronger for a little while. So, with that said, for me, there's a lot more conversation about the euro than there is about the dollar, and that tells me, you know, a little something. In this respect, I think we're still going to continue getting higher prices on the euro, so I don't really need to see the dollar in that respect. At least to clear out this small area up here, and I think this is where ultimately we're going to end up going, you know, about another 240 pips or so. And if I just take these off for a second, just show you, you can almost see it. You know, you can see that we've had this kind of really nice grind higher, a 1 week pullback, and now we're practically green again. You know, it's relentless at the minute, and I do think we're going to end up going higher. It's like you've got this nice little 1 week pullback, and then we're practically 3/4 up on last week already, just on this candle. So I can just, you know, you can see me going like this with my mouse, but I do think it's going to pop up there. So we'll drop down to the daily and we'll just mark off some levels. I do think, I mean, you see, we're up at this, like I said, we're right in the middle of this range. Ideally, you just have to bear with me a second while I just, okay. Let's get rid of this for a second. Yeah, I do think, let's mark off this little swing point and just make that a little bit thinner. And what is that? 123.60. We'll make it 123.65. I'll show you where I believe. 23.65. I think, guys, that we're probably going to get something like this dry in London, you know. To be fair, we do have, and let me just check this. I'm pretty sure. So I'm not messing around with the screen and moving it out of focus. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to check on Forex Factory and see. I do believe we have some euro news this morning. Yeah, 7 o'clock GMT, 8 o'clock GMT, and 10 o'clock GMT. Got medium impact news coming out, so that's basically in about an hour and 45 minutes. The first lot of news comes out, German GDP, whatever it is. But there's a small amount of inefficiency, not inefficiency, but stops underneath here. So I think could potentially, you see this little area here, guys. If we drop down to, you see where I've just marked this horizontal line. Let me get rid of this one and I'll show you. So I've just marked this small little trend line. Just here, I'll mark it off. You know, we trade a lot on stop runs basically, so I do think that we could either get this, and this is, you know, I'm considering continuation or bullishness on the euro. I do think it's going to keep going higher. Sometimes these news events, when they come out, you know, they give you exactly what you're looking for. and perfect. Other times they happen, and nothing really happens, and the news comes out, it's released, and the currency pair just basically sits there. So in this instance, based on the way that price is forming, the way that it looks, I think it's best to wait for the first lot of news to come out, see what euro does first, and then assess it. Probably wait till 8 GMT, unless what I'm about to outline now happens at 7 o'clock, which I guess for New York would be, it's currently 12:15 midnight for you guys, or whoever's in the States, or for those of you that are in the States. So that'd be what, 2 o'clock, 2 a.m. So if you're still awake for that, or you're still up for that between 2 and 3, one of two scenarios I believe is gonna happen here on the euro. We're either gonna get, I'll do the second one here. You'll see what I'm going to get at in a second, but I think it's one of these two, to be honest. It could, of course, just rip, and do whatever it wants, but this ultimate target up here, I mean, we do have, so we do have a small area here as well. A couple of equalizers here as well. And then I'll just drop back down to the hourly for a second. So 124.06 plus, right? So the 124 big figure is obviously something that's going to be attracting price. If they can get 124, facilitates exchange of currency. For a lot of big companies, it's a 124 handle. So where we're currently at right now, it's not a lot in terms of pip movement, about 28 or 29 pips, almost 30 pips. But if we move down into the first area here, and you can pick off a long, it's almost 50 pips of movement. If it goes further down and cleans out these stops, I prefer it to do that first. I prefer price to come down to here first, and then we pick off, a little short, which is almost a 90 pip move. Because I believe that euro strong, I believe the dollar's weak. We've got news coming out for euro this morning. Everything's kind of lending itself very nicely to, a higher price on the euro USD. So these are the two scenarios that I would expect to happen. If it continues going sideways a little bit for the next sort of hour and 40 minutes, and then we get this nice little dip and then move higher, it does make sense that it would actually come down to this first level that I've got marked off here, which is 123.65 or thereabouts. And if we can get in at 123.65, you're talking maybe a 20 or 30 pip stop, at the most. You wouldn't need anything past 30 pips. If it gets a deeper retracement, and again, this is all assuming that it actually happens this way, because sometimes, as I'm sure we all know, if anybody's been trading long enough, you'll know that sometimes you don't get anything. We can map all of this out, and we can have our sorry guys, just give me 1 second. 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. We can map all of this out to the best of what we believe is going to happen, and then none of it happens, and it just straight up there. And that's just unfortunate. Sometimes that happens. There's nothing you can do about it. You just have to go with what what the market's telling you. I would prefer this scenario though, because number one, it gets us a better entry. Number two, if price comes down here first, if we have a nice, because think about the context of where we are. We believe that obviously, based on the weekly, that we're going to get higher prices. At least up to here, which is a good sort of 200. What did we say it was? Clearing at least stops down here. We're talking about say 220 pips or so, right? So we have a bullish bias. It's going to be very unlikely. Think about it like this: it's very unlikely that a pullback now on euro is going to erase the entire weekly candle. Just based on the way it looks and price action, the way things are going, it's very unlikely that a pullback today or even this week is going to erase the entire week unless something insane happens. Because we've almost engulfed last week's body of the candle, and it's only Wednesday, so. Yeah, we're bullish. We're bullish on euro. It's obvious. So, for me, I prefer a price lower, because if it comes down here first, clears out these stops, there's no reason for it to stay down there and then reverses. It comes down, clears out the stops down here. Because remember, if somebody's long here and they believe price is going to continue going higher, you're going to get people. Not everybody, but some people would have trailed their stops up to here. And it makes sense that price or market makers or whatever would drop price down there to take out the stops, and then off we go, back up to the upside. If that happens, then we get some nice rejection. It's perfect, because we have a bullish bias. We know where we believe price is going, at least to 124 big figure. And then it gives us a perfect opportunity to get in and have the confidence to stay in, because we know they've taken the stops. There's no reason for them to stay down there. Now, if we come down here and we just continue going lower, and and you get stopped out, that's fine, because that also tells you something as well. As long as you don't go nuts and constantly, open trades all the time. A lot of people get them, and I'll just throw this in there now. A lot of people get themselves into trouble when they're trading, because they'll open a trade, they get stopped out, and instead of taking a step back and saying, "Why did I just get stopped out?" they get straight back in, because they want to, why did I get? I don't want to be stopped out. I don't want to lose money, and that's really backwards. If you get into a trade, let's say we get in here, so it drops down nicely, we get a nice entry, and we have, say a stop here for argument's sake, and it comes all the way down there and stops us out, and we immediately get long again, and it comes down a little bit further, and we get stopped out, and then we immediately get long again. The first time you get stopped out, if you take a step back and look at what's actually just happened, and give yourself enough time to look at what's just happened, price is telling you something. You were wrong, and there's nothing wrong with being wrong. If you take a 30 pip stop and your risk is good, there's no reason for you to be upset. So bear that in mind. When we and we need to. Well, I need to mention this now. The signals that we put out are based on obviously solid analysis. We've been doing this for a very long time, combined, and you have to take them all. All the signals that we put out, they're not just pick and choose. If you look at the results for the entire month, collectively for the whole month, 90% of the time we're up every month. We might have I think we had like one sort of, it wasn't a terribly crap month, but a little bit, tiny loss on one of the months, but we've been up pretty much every month. So, like I said, I wanted to throw that in there now. All of the signals, you have to take them all, because they're all even themselves out, and they're all based on sound, logical, price action and levels. So anyway, going back to the euro example, this is what I believe is going to happen, and I'll throw some prices up there so we can see what's going to happen. And we understand the context. Like I said, we are bullish on. What's that not working yet? We are bullish on euro. Okay. I'll just clean this up, guys, just so it's not so cluttered. But at least sort of 123.40, right? So we'll do it like this, right? These are the levels I'm going to be looking at. 123.40, right? For the first one, and then 123.65 for the second one. And I'll just take this off as well. Nope. Let's try again, so we can see what's going on. I'll just clean that up a little bit. 65. There we go. Right. So these are the two levels that I would expect to at least get some reaction from. Now, where we currently sit, we're either 10 pips away. And I know it doesn't seem like much, but you'd be surprised, because I've seen it many times. You know, you get a small news release, price will just dip slightly, and then off it goes. You know, so you know we've got 10 pips from where current price is. You know, for a potential, long, or we've got sort of 37 to 38 pips lower, which is the one that I would prefer. This is the entry that I prefer. If price comes down here, that's what I want. I want 123.40, 30 pip stop, and a nice sort of 60 to 80 pip move higher to 124 big figure. And I'm not changing my bullish bias on euro now, because last night I was talking about here that I expected these, this 124 high to be taken, and we have a really nice pop from there. Since then. That's not because I said it, but obviously because of price action, the way it's forming, this is what I believe is going to happen. And we had a really nice sort of 2-hour lift. It is the hourly 2-hour lift, and a small minor pullback. So this is all boding well for a nice pop above 124 big figure. But we need a better price. We wouldn't get it here. I want it lower. So ideally 123.40, right? And then we'll watch that. It's like I said, 5:27 here, so about an hour and a half before the first news release. So let's just jump over to cable. Cable's been a little bit different. We're not getting the lift that I expected. So if you take a look at the daily of the euro, so just keep an eye on this for a second. You can see we've got a really nice sort of three bar lift with potential to go higher. Weekly looks good. And you take a look at the cable on the weekly, and we've had a deeper retracement. But look at the candle. So this week's candle is kind of still in the bottom quarter of last week's range. Now, obviously, cable can play catch up sometimes, and when it does catch up, it catches up in spectacular fashion. Again, I'll just throw it out there. I don't think people realise how volatile cable can actually be. Some of the daily ranges on this thing are insane, but again, we're in a nice strong uptrend. It's not going to shift a bias just because it's not as far forward as the euro on the weekly, but because it hasn't you can see it's struggling to get up there. We've had this kind of, if you forget this candle here, that's just it's a Sunday candle, but we've had a kind of muted Monday, okay-ish Tuesday, and now today it's kind of not really going anywhere. Now there is going to be news, it's not today, it's only euro news today, but there's going to be news, I believe, tomorrow. No, not tomorrow, which is Thursday. You've got retail sales on Friday in terms of high impact and in terms of injection of volatility, but I wouldn't want to be trading on Friday anyway, to be fair. So probably going to leave cable alone this week. For me personally, I'm probably going to leave cable alone. I'm going to mark some levels off where I think price is probably going to end up going. I just want to make sure that there's no news. No, there isn't. So it's just literally just Friday. But you have. Right, let me just go back to the daily for a second. So we have this swing low down here. Swing low, swing point, lower, you know, sort of high-low, whatever you want to call it, right? That's this area here. So we've had a, you know, a low created here. We've come up, we're pulling back, and this is so far a higher low, right? So we're gonna have this level marked off 137. We'll call it 137.65, just to clean things up. I don't like odd numbers and bits at the end. Just keep it simple. So from where we're currently at right now, you're talking about 130 pips. So if dollar does, for whatever reason, start to resume its bullish uptrend, then, you know, we can expect cable to run first, because it's in the lower portion. It's a lot easier for cable to run lower than it is to go higher. You know, if you look at the path of least resistance, which I'm sure many of you have heard that term before, you can see that the path of least resistance. Look at what's happening with price action. You know, you can see we went up, we rejected. Now this day here tells us a lot. Not just because it's wicked, not just because it went up there and came back down and rejected. It's not about that. It's actually what happened on that day. We had a rate announcement on that day, excuse me. And you know, cable tried to get some lift. It didn't. It rejected immediately, pretty much, and followed through on the next day. So you can see it's wicking higher, rejection, wick, rejection, wick, rejection, wick, rejection, and now you're getting this kind of muted. It's almost like it doesn't want to go up, basically. Now again, before I carry on saying what I'm about to say, in terms of the levels, I've seen cable do this before, and then it just rips to the upside. Yeah, we've all seen that. Cable can be really annoying sometimes, and it's a very tricky currency pair to trade, because it can be super annoying. But just based on what we're seeing here, the path of least resistance is lower for me, because it doesn't, you know, if it starts to go high now, it needs to get through this high, it needs to get through this high, it's got to get through this high. I mean, this price has moved in this area. You know, you've got orders going off here, orders going off here, orders going off here in this tail, orders going off. You know, you can see every time it goes up there, it just keeps coming back down, right? And if we drop down to a 4 hour, you might be able to see that a little bit clearer. Zoom right out for a second, so you can see, you know, we had, think about it like this, look, so we've had kind of small consolidation. Oop, wrong one. So we've had this, let me just change this colour, guys, to something a bit more. And I apologise if I sound really croaky, but I'm still not well, man. I don't know what is going on. I'm trying to get rid of this kind of sore throat, swollen throat, whatever, for the last sort of week and a half, almost 2 weeks now. So again, I apologise if I sound like a frog, but you know, we've had, you can see these consolidation spots. It's almost one here as well, look, right? And price effectively moves away from this consolidation, comes back down, creates another consolidation, moves away from it, creates another consolidation. We have this really nice push higher, and we create this swing high, right? Or this high point. We trace higher, fails to make a higher high, so we've got a lower high here. Dip again, lower high, nice move lower, nice move lower. You know, back into these consolidation areas, so we consolidated slightly here, and you can see wick, 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 wick. Had this drop back up, wick, wick, wick. Now think about what's actually happening there. Here, right here, this area here. Okay, the trade's been facilitated here in terms of price. I don't know why it stays here. Nobody does. You know, it might be there because, you know, people want to buy at 139. You know, or you've got huge companies that are facilitating. You know, sorry, not facilitating. You've got huge companies that are wanting to buy more dollars, or wanting to sell more pounds, or wanting to do whatever. You know, or you might have big banks like Barclays or HSBC or whatever. You know, whatever the weather, you can see that price stayed in that area for quite a while, and really look about. You've got this small candle, this small candle, this small candle, and then look at this. Price goes all the way down, immediately rejects on the next candle. So you've got 4 hours of down movement, and then 4 hours of up movement, and where does it stop? Right back in that range again. And then we carry on, carry on, carry on. So consolidation comes all the way back down to, and then stays in that area for quite a while again. And you can see these consolidation points. You know, that price has come to these points and it stays there for a little while. Pop, pop. We had a little bit of a messy movement here because of the rate announcement. But again, nice move up, reversal, pop up, nice drop, breaking out this area here. And I'll just mark it off so you can see. So up, down, and then it breaks here on this one. And you can see that it's kind of a muted rally at this point. So I do think, just based on the way things are going, we're either going to do one of two things on cable. I think we're either going to go down here, back to this consolidation area, or we're going sideways while Euro does its thing. And that's my kind of stance on cable. I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think this is going to go higher, to be honest. If it does, okay, if cable does go higher and we clear, sorry, if we clear this point here, which is roughly can't see them, my eyes will come funny, 139.87. So let's say 139.90. If we clear this point here, then I'd imagine we're probably going to end up challenging this high and coming up into this small area of consolidation up here. I'll just mark that off. This small area here. If we get some lift, but just based on the way that price is acting right now, it's either sideways, I think, or lower to challenge this consolidation. More accurately, that low, which is at 137.39. So we'll call it 137.40 to the downside, which is a good about 165 pips, which again is more than doable for cable. So that's what I'm seeing for cable. We'll take a look at the Euro GBP because I can kind of give us an idea. Now, I've been saying this forever. If anybody's been watching any of the videos that I've done or any of the analysis videos, I've been saying for a while, until Euro GBP comes out of this range, you know, it's non-tradable for me. Yeah, you can trade the range and you can take a few scalps here and there, but it's pretty much, you know, it's pretty much a non-tradable range for me personally. You know, I don't like Euro GBP in terms of trading it. I don't really trade it, very rarely, you know, but you know, it is good to use to kind of show you where the euro is going or where the GBP is going, because it tells you which one of the two currencies is stronger, you know, overall. And just judging by the way that price action is on this, you know, it's you can say that we're in the top end range of the euro being stronger than cable. Sorry, not cable. The euro being stronger than the pound currency, because we've tried many times to come lower. Okay, we came down, created the low, come down, we broke the low here. Okay, and then this low was broken by this low, and then this low was well, it did actually tag that low. Then we start to get higher lows here. We've got one higher low and another higher low. And I've been saying this for a while. I do think that we're going to get a really nice pop on the Euro GBP. It looks more bullish than it looks more bearish. That's what I'm trying to get at. For me, that's how I see it. It looks more bullish than it does bearish, and it does actually make sense that that is the case when you look at the weekly of the Euro USD. You know, and some of the other euro pairs, I'm not going to bring them up, but some of the other euro pairs, you can see that the euro currency itself, the actual currency, not a pair, has actually been very, very strong. And because of that, I'll just drop that back down to how it is on the oil sand. But if you have that in mind, that the euro currency is a little bit stronger than the pound currency right now, then you can kind of see where I'm getting at with the Euro GBP being more bullish. You know, just price action alone, just the way that it's kind of forming, you can see it's kind of grinding lower, but not, if that makes sense. It looks like it's going lower, lower highs, lower lows, lower lows, but it's not actually going anywhere. It's just kind of grinding sideways and not really doing anything, but it looks more bullish than it does bearish. So my stance is that the euro currency is going to be a little bit stronger than the pound currency for now. So with that said, going back to cable, the whole kind of picture for me on cable is, like I said, either sideways or lower for now. And because there's no news coming out on this, I think cable's probably just going to do one of two things this week. It's either going to, do something crazy out of the blue, or it's just going to be kind of grinding in, sideways or lower. That's it for me. If it does anything else, then obviously I'll change my stance. But right now, sideways or lower. And like I said, I probably won't be trading this for the remainder of the week. For me, the trade is definitely in euro, at least for today. And then obviously during the New York session, which for you guys would be around about sort of 8:30 in the morning, before about an hour before the stock market opens. There is some news coming out for the dollar, so we are going to get some movement this afternoon. For me, it'll be the afternoon, but for New York and for those in the States, it's going to be early in the morning. And that news will be high impact. I've still got the calendar up, so yeah, you've got and then you've got crude oil inventories this afternoon as well, which will be sort of 3:30 for me, around about so it'll be 10:30 for you guys. You've got CPI, core retail sales, and retail sales. Yeah, so these are pretty big numbers per se. So I'm doing like parentheses, or quotation marks, but they're pretty big numbers in terms of movement, high impact. So we are going to get some movement this afternoon. I'm going to have to stop saying that because I'm going to confuse everybody. We are going to get some movement when that news comes out. We'll say it like that. Okay. But for now, my main focus is on the euro. See what happens in about an hour and 15 minutes when the first news release comes out. And like I said, one of two things for me. If it runs from here and goes straight up, I'm not going to do anything with it. Because you either catch the move beforehand down here and you're in it now already, or it comes lower, for an entry, and then you take a long. That's my stance on this. I'm not just going to jump in because it's gone higher. I'm not chasing price either. I want price to come lower for me. It has to come lower first before I even consider getting along. If it doesn't, then I won't be getting in. So these are the two price points that I'm looking for. If it gets to 123.65, okay, and it kind of just, and this is a tricky one. Sometimes when you get news releases, and again, let me be very, very clear. I want to make this absolutely clear. Okay, when you get a drop during news releases or a rally or whatever, the first initial response, if you've traded around the news or around news releases before, you'll know obviously that the spread can widen. Pretty much on every broker, to be fair. The broker that I use, I'm kind of lucky. My spread doesn't really open up that much. I'm sure at some point, when they realise I'm a profitable trader, they're going to get pissed off, and start widening the spread a lot. Which I'm sure is going to end up happening. But having said that, that the spread can open it, and you can get yourself into a lot of trouble. For me, I think the easiest way, I like to trade manually, so I'm going to be watching price. Depending on how I feel. I might go and get another couple of hours sleep because I feel terrible. But depending on how price action is, I like to sit here. I like to watch the news release. And because I'm predominantly a scalper, I'm very quick to get in and out. So I'm more than happy to sit here and then watch the trade unfold. And then get in if I get my price. But you can also trade. If I was going to leave a trade open on this, I would reduce my size in half, what I would normally use, for the first entry here, with a standard 30 pip stop, okay, or a more sorry guys, my head's gone a bit mush. Yeah, so I'd use half size at 23.65. Or I would go for a full size lot at 123.40 and not put this one out again with a 30 pip stop and just leave it open with a excuse me. Sorry guys, just give me 1 second. Right, sorry about that, guys. Oh God, I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, so either half a lot. Sorry. Let's say for argument's sake that your standard entry is 1 full lot. Okay, I would do half here and maybe a quarter here, or a quarter here, maybe half here. Either way, I'd size according to whatever my risk is. Okay, and have 2 entries. So you get the first. If you get tagged the second one, great, and you have 2 entries in. Because the difference between the two of them is only 15 pips. Oh, sorry, 25 pips. Okay, so it's not the end of the world, and that's a comfortable range for me to have 2 entries. Or you take one or the other. You know, I wouldn't have, you know, in terms of full risk. If I was going to take a full risk trade on this, I'd put a full risk in at 123.65, standard 30 pip stop, which would put us. Which I'd be a little bit uncomfortable doing that because it would put us right where I would expect the second entry to be fair. And it makes sense that it would just dip down here just to, you know, to collect the stops, and then off it goes to the upside again. So this is a little bit of a tricky one, and I think Euro is going to be really annoying today. You know, my sort of experience or gut or instinct, I guess, whatever, is telling me that this is probably not even going to end up dipping down. It's probably just going to go from here. But where it's at right now, I can't get in. I just can't. You know, it doesn't justify it. You could say maybe this is a 15-minute chart, right? You could say maybe. You see, if you look at this is our first price level. You can see this is the 123.65 level. Maybe you get a dip, and you can have a tighter stop of 15 pips as a scalping entry. But again, during that news release, we could very easily just dip straight down into this and then off it goes again. So it's a tricky one. I don't think it's going to do any, honestly. I think it's just going to go, to be fair, and go straight for the 124. Now, I'll also throw this in there as well. If Euro today just rips from where it's at now, and we don't see 123.65 and we don't see 123.40, and I'm focusing more on the Euro because, you know, we have the news coming out. If that happens, then I'd want to see how price, once it gets up here, I'm just saying for argument's sake, it comes up into this area. I'm just going to make it just a bit different colour, guys, so I can distinguish the difference. This is just for me personally. These colours don't mean anything to you guys, but for me they do. You know, if price just rips up there, okay, another sort of 30 or 40 pips and gets to the 124 big figure, once it gets there, I'll watch very closely what price is actually going to do, because think about it, we have 3 news releases coming out today, one at 7, one at 8, and one at 10. So, and this is all GMT time. You know, one in an hour and 10 minutes, one in 2 hours and 10 minutes, and then one in 3 hours and 10 minutes. Is that right? So basically, yeah, one at 7, one at 8, and one at 10. Yeah, in the morning. So the first one could get us, and I like to plan all the scenarios out, because if it, like, I don't want to sound like I'm going on and on and on, but think about it. Think about every single scenario, and then if one of those unfolds, you're not taken by surprise. Yeah. 7 o'clock news release, we're going to dip down to 130, you know, 123.65, and you get a nice entry long. Okay, or 7 o'clock it dips down lower into the 123.40, which tells us a lot more. That's the one that I would personally prefer. Yeah, it could even start to retrace lower, 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 lower. 7 o'clock news release, it's down here, it rips to the upside. Okay, and then at 8 o'clock it rejects and then continues going sideways. 10 o'clock doesn't go anywhere. Yeah, so these are they kind of map out a lot of these different scenarios. we could go straight up from here at 7 o'clock. We could get there before 7 o'clock, news release. At 8 o'clock we could, reverse. We could even continue going higher. So we have to watch what price action is doing in that moment. Yeah, we can map out these scenarios. We can have an idea of where we think price is going to end up going. But ultimately, we have to stick to one or two things that we believe is more favourable based on the bigger picture. The bigger picture for me is euro is still bullish. I do believe we're going to hit the 124 today, and I don't want to be getting in here. I want to be getting in lower because it's a better price for me, and it would make sense for price to come down here, clear out the stops, and then continue going higher. Better entry, better stop, better risk, better target. Okay. If it doesn't unfold that way, once it gets to 124, and this is all assuming that I'm going to open a trade anyway. Yeah. You don't have to trade. We watch all of this stuff, and if it goes up there to 124, then rejects and starts to come lower, that's not an immediate short for me. That's a watch. I'm just gonna have to, watch price action, pay attention to it, see what it does, and take it from there, because it's very easy to, it's very easy to switch bias, and you taking a short, for example, at 124 because it's rejected a little bit, is not going to change the weekly bullish stance. It's just not. Okay, so stick to a bias. Make sure you stick to what you have planned out. And if it doesn't work out that way, then you sit on your hands and you wait. I'll also, before I go, guys, sorry, I'm gonna wrap this up because, like I said, my throat, my head, you guys might not be able to hear it, but I'm really struggling here at the minute. But because we've got news coming out this afternoon for the dollar, I'm just going to quickly pop over to the dollar CAD just to see where we could be headed, maybe, because we've got oil inventories this afternoon as well, crude inventories or inventories. Yeah, you see, this is really messy, man. If you take, look at the range, guys. The full range, this is the weekly, yeah. Talking about 850 pips, so that's like 425 pips or so. Be the middle-ish. Yeah. Around about here is the middle of the range. Not that far off, guys. About 90 pips away from the middle of the range. Not really going anywhere. Kind of have the previous week's high and low. Let's see where we are in terms of the previous week's high and low. Yeah, again, pretty much slightly higher than the midpoint. This is messy, man. But it does bode well that we're having small range days. I know we're wicking, but we're having these kind of small range days. This could go either way, to be honest, guys. And I wouldn't really want to be trading the loonie, as they call it, right now. But you can see it. I mean, this is a mess, an absolute mess. 4 hour. These two lines, this is the weekly, like previous week's high and low. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be touching this, guys. I'm going to stay away from that. The USD yen pretty much cleared out these stops on this week. I'm still here, guys. Sorry, I'm just looking at the swing points now. This is pretty much, yeah, USD Japanese yen's fulfilled. It's what I would essentially be looking for, would be a move below this this low here. There is a little bit more room to the downside, but I'm not, or wouldn't be looking to trade this today at all, actually. Got another couple of hundred pips lower. Remember, this is the weekly what I'm showing you now, but we may see some more downside, especially based on you know, the belief that euro is going to be going higher and that the dollar is going to be continuing its move lower. I would expect a little bit more movement down on the USD Japanese yen, but this is, like I said, not something that I'm going to be looking to trade. And then tomorrow, I do believe we've got news for Aussie. Let's take a look at the weekly. I've said this before, I'm going to go back to the monthly for a second. I really like this. I do, I really like the monthly on Aussie. And I've been saying this for a while. I think, you know, 81.60 is definitely on the cards, minimum, at some point, you know, in the coming months. For the euro, for the Aussie dollar. I'm going to mark that off because I do like this. I've been banging on about this for ages, guys. The monthly, and when it was up here, it's actually, in terms of a longer term trade, and this is not, you know, I'm not telling you to trade or to get into any trades at all, but I'm just saying, as a longer term move, it's actually not in a bad spot to be buying at the minute. But in terms of just right now, you see these equal highs up here. You've got this high here. You've got another sort of swing point here. It just looks great, to be fair. The only thing that worries me on the Aussie dollar is we've had a low created, higher low, equal low, higher low, higher low. There's no stops taken on the downside. So it may need to come down here first, and then in the coming weeks, before resuming its move higher. But I'm you know, overall this year I'm going to be bullish on the Aussie dollar. I don't really trade it that much, but I do like to watch it. It is a commodity pair, so you do need to keep an eye on some other things. But you know, the Aussie dollar it's got the highest interest rate in the minute, so it's going to continue seeking yield. Let me just see if there's anything that we could potentially take. Yeah, we've cleared out this area here with this drop. We're moving up. We're basically stuck between two price points. Look, I'll show you. So we've got that price point here, or that small area of price, and then the small area of price, and we're stuck between the two effectively. So we're bumping our head up against this, and if it comes back down, we're going to be bumping our head back down against that. So that's small range from here to here of around about 20 pips. It either needs to clear this high, continue going higher, or it needs to get through this low and continue going lower, maybe challenge this low. But as far as an actual potential trade or potential direction for tomorrow when the news is released, nah. Maybe a pop above this, which is practically, I mean, what, 25 pips is nothing. It's not even worth looking at. So that's me, guys. That's what I'm expecting for the euro today. I'm going to be monitoring euro, and if I see anything, then we will put a signal out in the signal room for those that are signed up for the service, and that's going to be our focus for today. So in the meantime, I wish you all the best. I hope you guys have learned something. I do apologise for the way that I sound, and hopefully I can get rid of this or shift this, you know, minor illness, whatever it is, and be back on form for the next time we get together. Alright guys, so take care, and I'll see you soon.